You can smell it before you even turn the cover, that mix of cheap ink, sweat, and tobacco that only existed in wrestling magazines printed on pulp stock in the early 70s. The cover screams with color and chaos, promises of fury, blood, and betrayal. And the words the wrestler stretch across the top like a neon banner above a traveling sideshow. It's May 1972. The sport is shifting into overdrive, and the writers at Stanley Weston's Empire are capturing it like war correspondents in spandex. Each page isn't just an article, it's a time capsule from the golden age where kayfabe wasn't an illusion, it was religion. Now, the first pages are alive with fandom itself. Lucky Winners of the Masked Contest doesn't just list winners, and it honors them like soldiers in the trenches. Their names, their towns, their guesses, each one immortalized in print. You can almost picture the envelope stacked high in the editorial office, opened by hand, the editors arguing over handwriting, debating who recognized Mil Mascaras by the gleam of his mask, or El Psicodelico by the curve of his eyes. The piece reads like a victory lap for the fans who knew their heroes before television did. And for those who didn't win, it's a taunt. A promise that if you study harder, if you send your entry earlier, maybe next month your name will be there too. Then come the official wrestling ratings, the sacred mathematics of the squared circle. Each name is printed like a royal decree. Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, Dory Funk Jr., Werner Gagne, Jack Briscoe, Bobo Brazil, sit a pantheon of power. The territories are alive and distinct. New York, St. Louis, Dallas, Toronto, each with their own gods, each with their own loyal believers. Beneath the lists, the tag team ratings carry their own mythology. The fabulous kangaroos still hold strong, the valiant brothers clawing at their heels, and the rising tornado of the blackjacks promising to knock everyone down. Even the women's and midget divisions get their rightful space, Moolah reigning supreme, Little Beaver holding the line. And it all feels serious, legitimate, like the Bible of professional wrestling carved in newsprint. Flip another page and you land in the gossip column that defines the Weston era. Here's what's happening, baby. It's not a report. It's a living whisper. Every sentence feels like it was overheard in a smoky locker room. Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Stevens are said to be the most dangerous team since Murder Incorporated. Ivan Koloff's manager, the Big K, declares that his Russian bear will topple Werner Gagne. The Crusher is back in Milwaukee and angry at the world. Tony Marino and Tony Parisi are riding the highways with a trunk full of gear and one busted headlight. Even Killer Kowalski makes headlines. He's in California calling himself the world's smartest wrestler, and no one's brave enough to tell him otherwise. And tucked between the gossip and the grainy photos are ads for wrestling boots, muscle magazines, and bodybuilding courses that promise to add 3 inches to your chest in 10 days, mail away to a P.O. box in New Jersey, and become the next Bruno Sammartino. The magazine's first true epic, though, is Lord Layton's war with the Sheik. It's the story of civility broken by savagery. Layton, the well-spoken Englishman who prided himself on commentary and sportsmanship, finally loses his composure. The Sheik, wild and unrepentant, burns through opponents like a biblical plague at Maple Leaf Gardens. Layton's attempt to remain neutral collapses when the Sheik, after brutalizing Luis Martinez, turns on the Lord himself. The scene reads like a crime report. Sheik slashing, Farouk laughing, Layton's shirt torn open, blood staining the canvas. The article calls it "The Night Gentlemanly Wrestling Died." The photos freeze Layton mid-collapse, blood pooling on the mat, fans leaning over the rail with expressions of shock and horror. And from there, the wrestler hits you with its masterpiece of melodrama. Why Ivan Koloff disappeared, and why he had to return. The layout is perfection. Koloff's snarling face, the hammer and sickle backdrop, the Big K standing beside him in a suit, smirking like a Bond villain. The story traces Koloff's exile after losing the WWF title to Pedro Morales, his humiliation, his retreat to Russia, and his slow rebirth under the Big K's guidance. Koloff tells the magazine, through a translator, that he's back to destroy the myth of American wrestling. He calls Morales a coward, Bruno overrated, and vows to take Vernagagne's belt to Moscow, where real champions live. The Big K promises science and discipline will replace luck and charisma. It's propaganda on paper, and it's incredible. Then comes the piece that reads like a sociological study written in sweat. Do midgets have the advantage in mixed matches? A title designed to make you laugh, an article that makes you think. It dissects the physics of leverage, the way smaller wrestlers can get under a giant's base of gravity, how a head scissors or a flying body press changes when launched from someone 4 feet tall. It profiles Lord Littlebrook and Sky Low as pioneers, not sideshow acts. For once, the magazine treats them as craftsmen, which for 1972 is revolutionary. Hell's Angels charge! We're being forced to split up! Roars in next, chronicling the short-lived tag team who carried the outlaw biker image into wrestling's world of sequins and suits. Promoters didn't know how to handle them, and commissions threatened to pull licenses if they appeared in leather and chains. The team swears the office conspired to end them. We weren't too rough, they growl. We were too real. Their farewell photo feels like a movie still. 2 men standing beside a bike under a flickering streetlight, both legends and ghosts. The issue's highlight of pure absurd glory follows 7 ways to skin a kangaroo. It sounds ridiculous, but it's genius. It's a breakdown of how different tag teams have tried and failed to dethrone the fabulous kangaroos. From scientific precision to brute force, from drop kicks to distraction tactics, every method has been attempted. The article treats it like military strategy, quoting managers, analyzing sequences, and declaring that to beat the kangaroos, you must outthink them, and so nobody's done that yet. And then comes one of the era's greatest pieces of wrestling folklore. Bruno Sammartino beats 21 opponents, all in one night. The story crackles with hyperbole, but the wrestler sells it like gospel. Under the lights of Los Angeles, Bruno supposedly fought 21 challengers in a marathon exhibition. The names are blurred, the results barely believable, but the point is clear. Bruno was the Iron Man, the people's champion, the unbreakable symbol of power and humility. The story's tone is reverent, describing him as a god among men who could fight for hours and still smile for the fans. As the pace quickens, the pages explode into reader interaction. Go, Go, Go Where the Action Is lists fan-submitted dream matches. Johnny Valentine versus The Destroyer, Pedro Morales versus Bobo Brazil, and a fantasy 6-man tag pitting the Valiants against the Kalmikoffs. The editors reply like carnival barkers. Maybe someday. And the column feels like the direct line between the arena and the living room. Then news from the wrestling capitals of the world takes over. Correspondents filing dispatches from St. Louis, Los Angeles, Montreal, and Japan, each with their own tone. You can almost feel the geography of the wrestling world stretching out like a map of religion. Debbie Johnson's dilemma, must I be vicious to survive, offers a dramatic emotional break, a look into the life of a young woman wrestler torn between skill and savagery. She admits that kindness in the ring makes her a target, that every loss chips away at her confidence, and that the crowd's cheers fade fastest for those who play fair. The photos show her face bruised but beautiful, eyes determined. It's part tragedy, part empowerment, the most quietly powerful story in the issue. The magazine starts to cool down but refuses to die quietly. Whatever you do, don't ask Pak Song to do you a favor, is both a threat and a biography. Pak Song, the towering Korean martial artist, is described as a man who speaks little but strikes fast. He's feared in every locker room, respected by every fan who's seen him shatter boards and opponents with his bare hands. To ask Pak for a favor, the writer warns, is to risk your life. The back of the issue slows the tempo, drifting through pen pals, pages of handwritten addresses from fans seeking friendship, trading photos, and promising to never miss a match. And then, in perfect symmetry, the making of a professional wrestler. It's the voice of a fan who chased the dream, who went from bleachers to bump cards, who learned that the light's blind and the canvas burns, but that it's all worth it for the moment the crowd calls your name. The ads fill every leftover inch, offers for 8 by 10 glossy photos of Sammartino, Haystacks Calhoun, or Killer Kowalski for just 50 cents. Bodybuilding courses from Charles Atlas clones promising confidence through muscle. Correspondence schools that claim to turn your passion for wrestling into a career. There's even a mail order psychic who'll predict your title destiny for $1.25. Every ad feels alive, desperate, and sincere. The commerce of dreams in a pre-digital world. Now, by the time you close The Wrestler, made in 1972, you don't feel like you've read a magazine. You feel like you've walked through an entire industry, frozen in amber. You can hear the ring ropes creak, feel the spotlight heat, smell the sweat and desperation of the road. This wasn't journalism. This was mythology bound in staples.